Hello and welcome to The Book Was Better. We're fixing today's movies one book at a time. So, what happens when you want to make a movie out of a book, but it's already been adapted? And it was adapted into something that was criticized for not being very faithful to the source material. Well, if you're anything like today's movie, you try to outdo the previous crew and make a movie that's even worse! Endless Love was first adapted in 1981 by Franco Zeffirelli, starring Brooke Shields and Tom Cruise. And it didn't do so well, earning negative reviews and being lambasted for not being a good retelling of the book. Well, director Shauna Fest came along and apparently took that as a challenge, aiming to make an adaptation that was bland, cliché, and had almost nothing in common with the book, scoring a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes and earning harsh mockery left and right. But what's the movie about? Well, the movie is about a pair of well-off white teenagers who live in the South and fall madly in love with each other, even though the girl's father doesn't really approve. Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting in like this. I just have to keep reminding myself that this is not a Nicholas Sparks movie. This version of the movie came out just last year in 2014 and stars Gabriella Wilde and my old friend, Alex Pettyfer. Oh yes, we're gonna have another showdown. And Pettyfer had better review I Am Number 4! I'll get to it later! Now, the book was published in 1979 and was one of Scott Spencer's most successful novels. It sold over 2 million copies since the ink first hit paper. The original book is quite unlike your typical romance novel in that it uses in medias res, which means in the middle of things. The book starts at the end of the young couple's relationship, only giving us clues as to what happened before we joined. This is the same writing technique used in games like BioShock or Knights of the Old Republic. The main character and narrator, David Axelrod, is distraught since his girlfriend, Jade, has been taken away from him by her father, Hugh, who set a strict 30-day suspension to keep David away from their house. So David does what any teenager would do, and sets Jade's house on fire. Endless Love is a novel about first love, not necessarily true love, and the title has a very clever double meaning. You have the romantic idea, which is that true love is eternal and will endure no matter what, and then you have the obsessive kind, wherein one person cannot give the other person up and will do anything to recapture their old feelings. Like stalking an entire family or setting a house on fire. So, does the remake do anything to even try recapturing that complexity?
No! No! No!
Well, let's find out for ourselves in Endless Love. So we open to a group of 20-something-year-olds graduating high school when the narrator describes Jade, a beautiful but lonely girl with plans to go to Brown University.
She spent all of her time secluded with her family, or in the comfort of books.
Nothing wrong with that! However, we see that Jade's older brother Chris died in her sophomore year and that she isolated herself from everyone around her. So she ends high school with no friends and no one to sign her yearbook. Meanwhile, David watches from the sidelines, always watching, for 4 years. Now, the movie could have used this point as the start of some obsessive love affair with Jade. I mean, that's kind of what the trailer hinted at.
You can't sleep, you can't eat, there's no doubt you're in deep.
And if you think the trailer's any indication of what you're going to get, prepare to be severely disappointed. Moving on, we see that David works as a valet for an expensive restaurant. The same restaurant that Jade and her family visit to celebrate graduation.
You're Jade Butterfield. We go to school, we went to school together.
David, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're just so cute and dreamy together! No, wait, this intro's been done in almost every other romance out there. Oh, they're just so cliche and repetitive together!
We've been going back and forth over what to get you for graduation.
We know we haven't done very well with the holidays and so on, and that's not been fair to you.
There is one thing.
What? Anything?
I want that!
A party.
A party?
So Jade asks David to the party and they celebrate by stealing some douchebag's car.
Welcome.
Welcome to the end.
Keep it close, don't park me in.
Oh, sure, no.
Hey, man, I take him, but you gotta hand him to me, all right? I don't pick up shit off the floor.
It's time to learn. You boys best earn your 3 minutes in my car.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Boys.
By this point, this guy should count himself lucky that his car isn't sold to the studio producing Mad Max. So, when the inevitable happens and David punches the douchebag,
Well, it's gonna take a lot more than stealing my car to get her to spread her legs.
Oh, shit.
David has to have a talk with his dad.
Because Judge Dean called. Word travels fast.
Yeah, it was no big deal. I lost it for 1 sec, that's it.
Alright, now I want everyone to take a few seconds and try to guess what the next line is. Here are your choices. Is it A, by the way, I need you to pick up some potatoes, B, now is the winter of your discontent, or C, 1 second is all it takes?
No big deal. I lost it for 1 sec, that's it.
Yeah, well, 1 second is all it's going to take.
Yeah, I think we all saw that one coming from a mile off. Oh shit. So the party comes and Jade is delighted that David showed up. But her father also invited 40 of his business associates, throwing off the teenager to adult ratio. Well, maybe Jade should have sent out more than one invitation! But David's so cool that he shuts down a different party and invites all of their classmates to Jade's house, where they play such rousing games as 7 Minutes in Heaven and the home version of So You Think You Can Dance. I didn't even know that reality shows made home versions. Oh god, what would Fear Factor look like? We see several differences between Hugh in the movie and in the book. In the book, we had several broad explanations as to who he was and that he grew to dislike David over time because of how David was changing his entire family. Instead, in the movie, he's the typical southern rich guy who dotes on his daughter and doesn't like David because he doesn't think David's good enough for his little princess. Also, Hugh misses his oldest son terribly and does whatever he can to preserve Chris's room.
Oh, look at this. You scratched it. This. What? You're supposed to put them back in the sleeves. This immediately. You can't.
Yeah, they're just records. These are just things he'd want us to play them.
Well, he's not here to ask, is he?
To make up for several bad impressions, David does something considerate and fixes up Chris's old car that Hugh was trying to restore.
Okay, David, look. I mean, we know your act of generosity with the car wasn't really about anything other than my daughter, so.
He's an asshole.
What about your future plans? Where are you going to college?
I'm not going to college.
Huh.
David reveals that he prefers to stay where he is, working in his father's garage, despite getting a 2090 on his SATs. So even though he's very smart, he's not going to college. Oh god, this is going to be a running theme.
That's what I want to find. True love. The kind that you fight for. That you always put first. That makes you want to be good. Do better. And not just with any girl. But the girl.
So we're 30 minutes into the movie and we still haven't seen any hint of the obsessive love that David possessed in the book. But if we take that last line and just edit a few things around, we get Crazy David to come out.
That's what I want to find. True love. The kind that you fight for. That you always put first. That makes you want to be good. Do better. And not just with any girl. But the girl.
But apparently that was just what Jade needed to hear, because after dinner with David and her family, she gives him a note to meet her later. And then they bang in the living room. I would let this pass, except they've known each other for maybe a week, and they haven't been on a real date yet. So Jade just looks desperate at this point, and David looks opportunistic. At least they sort of tried to capture a scene that was in the book at long last, but they didn't set up the characters well enough, so these two just look irresponsible. Speaking of responsibility, Jade has an internship with a friend of her father's in a very competitive field. The problem is that she'll have to leave for it in 2 weeks.
I thought we had the summer.
But David, ever the romantic, decides not to let that bog them down, and they cram every moment of fun together that they can before Jade leaves. I don't even have to say it, do I?
I'm tired, Dad, please.
Can I just ask you why you're unpacking?
I called Dr. Fitzgerald. I'm not taking the internship.
So in retaliation for Jade giving up the internship, Hugh takes the whole family out to the lake house to keep Jade away from David. But oh no! Jade invited David anyway.
What are you doing here, David?
Well, Jade invited me.
He's my guest, and he's staying.
Seriously, Hugh, you thought you were going to win an argument against a woman?
Jade just became a woman.
So everything is fun at the lake house. There's plenty of swimming, food, and fireworks. Until David walks in on Hugh making out with a colleague from work. So Hugh does the logical thing and invites David on a boat ride alone. And of course, they stop in the middle of the lake to talk. 'Cause, you know, that always ends well.
Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
There's no need for any of this. You can just get to the point where you asked me about last night.
Last night?
So David confronts Hugh about this startling revelation, and it's never brought up again. This entire plot point was just used to cement David and Hugh's mutual dislike of one another, so no one gets to be happy, especially not the viewer. So David and Jade run into some old friends and decide that it'll be fun to break into the zoo late at night. But this girl who they're hanging out with calls the cops on the group after she sees David and Jade kissing. Who the hell is this person? We've only seen her in one scene before, but it was so brief and unimportant that I forgot about her the first 2 times I saw this movie. The movie treats her like David's jealous ex, but she's never established as such. If they want to bring her in early just to use her later, fine, but there should be some consistency in using her.
Now all of my friends were Jade Butterfield's party. A girl who acted like we didn't exist in high school. Does that make sense to you, David?
You have a party every weekend. What difference does it make?
911, what is your emergency?
Hey, I just saw some kids breaking into the zoo down on Lakeview.
So the cops show up, David runs a distraction so the others can escape, seems to get away moments before the cops find him, gets arrested, and just do it already! But it turns out this is not David's first run-in with the cops. Hugh hired someone to dig up David's criminal record, but this doesn't deter Jade, who worries about David's future.
Please, Dad. Get him out. I love him.
So Hugh agrees to pay off David's bail and get him out.
On one condition.
David is apparently free to leave town, because cardiologists have authority over county police, but David can't see Jade anymore.
Hey, hang on. What do you mean?
Your relationship with my daughter is over. It's time to let her go. Let her have the success she deserves. She's taking the internship. Yeah, she decided this morning.
However, when Hugh reveals what he said to Jade, she freaks out and runs out the door to find David. Wait, what was the one condition he talked about 2 scenes ago? Did he say,
on one condition,
and then just walk out the door? Or did she really sign back up for an internship? Movie, if you're gonna try your hand at dramatic tension, could you at least, I don't know, set it up first? After getting released from jail and punching Hugh for pushing his buttons, David is nursing his hand at the local watering hole. And that's when we learn that Jenny, the girl who called the cops on them at the zoo, has a crush on David and was trying to tear him and Jade apart. And it would have been nice to know this when we first met her over an hour ago! And then Jade walks in and finds David talking to another girl and instantly assumes that he must be cheating on her, and we get a fake-out breakup scene.
You're a coward, you know that? You don't fight for love. You're terrified of it.
No, I'm not doing this. It's too fucking stupid. It's been done to death! Fuck you! Apparently I'm not the only one sick of the cliched plot because Jade tries to drive off too. She just doesn't get very far. At the hospital, Hugh confronts David's father and presents him with a restraining order, forcing David to stay away from Jade.
He's only 18. He's got his whole life.
My daughter made a choice to move on. He didn't respect that, and he knew the conditions.
That he couldn't get in a fight with his girlfriend? That he couldn't sneak into a zoo?
Actually, he can't sneak into the zoo. It's called criminal trespassing. It's kinda why he got arrested. And so we finally have another moment that the movie managed to set up that reflects the book, with a few minor differences. Here we see David and Jade go through a period of separation where Jade goes to college and David stays in town and gets a job, but neither of them are really satisfied with life. In the book, the both of them went through a long period of separation, except that was highlighted by David setting Jade's house on fire, getting arrested, going to court, being transferred to a mental hospital, and then being placed on parole. I'm not sure if the director actually knew anything about the book before going into this project. In fact, aside from some of the names, I'm not sure this isn't a copy and paste job from some other cliched romance movie. So all this separation isn't sitting well with either teenager, so they decide to do the only thing they can think of and run off together. Alright, now it's time for the one thing I've been looking forward to. The one thing that can set this predictable pile of crap apart from every other romance movie made in the last 40 years. David sets Jade's house on fire. I admit, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm willing to give them a chance.
You have wanted me to choose this entire time. Well, finally I have. I choose to live my own life. I choose David.
Jade. Jade! Jade!
What? That's how the fire starts. Okay, the one fucking thing that I was looking forward to, and they fuck it up and get it completely wrong! On the very first page of the book, David is so desperate to see Jade again after being forced away by her father that he devised a half-cocked plan to start a small fire on her front porch, come along, and help the family put out the flames just to see her and earn her father's respect. It was a display of the blinded obsession that David's love for Jade brought him to. But to write it off so that her father bumps over a candle on accident is just the culmination of everything wrong with this movie and this director. They are afraid to take chances. That's why this movie is so middle of the road boring. That's why it doesn't stand out at all from other romance movies and why it's such a terrible adaptation. I can't stand this! You cowards see examples of people taking chances and making amazing movies, but you decide that's not the route you want to take? You want to play it safe and make a movie that people won't remember when they leave the theater? Fuck your mediocre bullshit and everything you stand for! And then Hugh runs into the building, David follows, and they both die of smoke inhalation. The end. I don't care if that's not the real ending! You don't need me to tell you the real ending! You already know it! David and Jade wind up back together. There, done! I'm sick of this garbage! What really pisses me off about the movie is how different the book tries to be. The book isn't a typical happy-go-lucky romance tale. It's awkward, it's creepy, the main character's a bit of an idiot, so in that way, it reflects real life very well. I think a lot of people can relate to David's initial take on love, thinking that the first girl you fall in love with is the one you want to marry, and that can lead to some stupid, embarrassing choices. So in that way, Endless Love is the most realistic romance story I've ever read. It gets a 4 out of 5. The movie, though, is a boring, tangled mess. Plot and character threads come and go and are left hanging so that the plot as a whole looks like a dilapidated dream catcher. On top of that, there's almost nothing that makes Endless Love stand out as a romance movie. The characters, the dialogue, and the plot are the same as other blasé romance movies. At least the acting isn't bad, and the actors obviously tried, but the material was never worth working with. The movie on its own wouldn't be so bad, messy plot threads notwithstanding, except it doesn't try and as such has nothing special to offer. And the fire doesn't count because they fucked that up! The movie gets a 2 out of 5. The movie as an adaptation makes me want to set my own fire as well. Almost nothing was carried over from the book. No themes, styles, concepts, or unique ideas. Hell, I'd say we were lucky that they got the names right, except they fucked that up too! The only way this adaptation could miss the mark anymore was if it was set in space. I rarely see a movie that tries so little. As an adaptation, Endless Love gets a 1 out of 5. Oh god, it's too many cliches. I can't do this again. I need something original, something unique, something son of a bitch!
Won't you tell me what you want from me? Don't you know I'd walk across the sea just to be with you, just to see it through.
What are you doing? Oh, I thought I'd try my hand at some of this magic stuff. And you think it'll actually work? Well, I don't have much to lose. Just have to find the right kind of magic to cast. What do you mean? Well, apparently mages can only cast certain fields of spells depending upon what kind of mage they are. Fire spells, lightning spells, and I'm pretty sure I saw something about lactomancy. It sounds like that guy would be the worst mage in the world. No one's disputing that. Unfortunately, I have no idea what kind of mage I'm supposed to be. So, what are you going to do? Try spell after spell until you find one you can cast? Basically. I mean, who knows how long it'll take Raim to find me here. I want to have something to fight back with instead of nothing. You want me to rig up another trap for you? After you botched up the nerve gas line in my last apartment? No thanks. I'll take my chances. Whatever. Suit yourself. Alright. What should I try first? Fireball shouldn't be too hard. Alright, let's do it. Fireball! Fire! Fire +1! Okay. What about ice? Blizzard! Ice! Maybe I'm a summon. From the darkest depths and harshest torments, I summon entropy! How do I know if this one works? Okay, let's try illusion. Basic invisibility shouldn't be too hard. Hey, am I invisible? No. Damn it! Oh, come on, there's gotta be something! Shock! Photon! Something! Damn it! I knew it! I knew there was no such thing as magic. GC always does this crap! This son of a bitch is gonna get me killed! I've been wasting my time! GC, your book is broken.
Sure you're not illiterate?
I review books on the internet, and you're calling me illiterate.
Well, it's either that or you're stupid. Which would you prefer?
You're a good friend.
I know. But listen, in all seriousness, the reason I'm calling is because I was able to find those remaining 2 rings. I sent them out with a carrier, and they should be at your place soon. Just be careful when they arrive. Artifacts like these shouldn't be underestimated.
Well, if they're so dangerous, then why don't you come down and help me personally?
Because I've got things up here I need to take care of. Does the term ethereal balance mean anything to you?
No.
Then it would take too long to explain to your 4th grade reading level. These rings should help you out against your enemy, but only if you use them one at a time. What you told me, this guy is serious business, so watch yourself. Got it?
Right, GC. Thank you.